Before the hauntings, the mill fed Minneapolis. Limestone walls rose beside Minnehaha Creek. Built in the late 1800s, its water wheel turned grain to flour through bitter winters. Accidents were common. Slick stone, belt drives, and freezing spray claimed fingers and lives. A boiler fire and spring flood cracked the foundations. Owners rebuilt, then abandoned. By the 1910s, only ruins remained. Teenagers dared each other to climb the broken stairs. Some say the cries here are not legend, just labor left unpaid by time. Welcome to Shivers and Stories. Tonight, Minnesota's darkest legends step into the light. We all know Minnesota, right? The land of 10,000 lakes, the friendly Minnesota nice, and the biting winters that chill you to the bone. But what if I told you the cold isn't the only thing that will make you shiver? Beneath those placid lakes, in the deep, silent woods, something else waits. We're peeling back polite smiles and picturesque landscapes to stare into the abyss that stares back. You're watching Shivers and Stories. Get comfortable. Dim the lights. Pull a blanket up close. These stories come from real whispers, local legends, and eyewitnesses who can never unsee. Are you ready? The first story waits down by the old mill. Picture this. Minnehaha Creek, a place of stunning natural beauty where families gather to enjoy the sunlit falls. But when the sun bleeds out and the park empties, a different, much older energy takes over. All that remains is the rushing water and the skeletal silhouette of the old mill. Built in the 1850s, it was once a place of industry, grinding flour for the growing city. But its gears stopped turning long ago, when leaving it to decay by the water's edge. Now, they say, if you stand by the crumbling stone, you can hear whispers carried on the mist. Some hear a woman who threw herself into the creek, her profound sorrow forever staining the land. And then, other sounds. The unmistakable chilling cry of a baby. A couple dared each other to sit an hour past midnight. The nervous laughter died in their throats. The crying wasn't distant. It was right behind their bench, sharp and desperate. A freezer-cold drop. A crushing, suffocating grief that wasn't theirs. Then a woman's whisper, clear and possessive in her ear. Mine. They ran, the baby's wail and the roar of the falls chasing them to the streetlights. They never went back, but sometimes, late at night, they swear they still hear it. Some places hold their tragedies. The sorrow here is a current, and if you get too close, it will pull you under. Before the whispers, there was math. The old mill rose beside Minnehaha Creek in the 1850s. Timber first, then stone, set low to the water. A raceway, a wooden wheel, later an iron turbine. Grain and burlap, the creek did the work, and a new city learned to eat. By day, millstones singing belts, slapping steady breath of water. Names chalked on sacks, crossed off in ledgers. The air hung with flour, a floating snowfall. Progress came fast. Bigger stones, a second shift, a new shaft installed in winter when the creek slowed and the ice groaned. Accidents were part of the arithmetic. A sleeve caught on a whirring spindle, a hand crushed where grain met stone. A boy sent for a pail who didn't hear the foreman's shout over the roar. No headlines, just brief notes on brittle paper, repairs, delay, loss. The mill kept moving. Fire came the way it always comes in mills, quiet and inevitable, a spark in the chaff. Heat blooming behind a wall where nobody looked. The night crew smelled it too late. Buckets, shouting, a red wash on the creek's surface. The roof blackened, rafters popped. The next morning an insurance man ran his finger through ash and wrote numbers while the foreman stared at the stones still warm to the touch. Then the flood. Spring tore down from the west, thick with thaw and memory. Millrace punched loose footbridge, lifted like a toy, and pinned a wagon wheel high in the cottonwoods. The creek widened its shoulders and took what it wanted. When the water fell back, the turbine sat crooked, the wheelhouse shifted, and the ledger's numbers went thin. Bigger mills woke on the Mississippi, taller, faster, brighter. Here the grind slowed. They sold off what could be moved, stacked what couldn't, locked doors that warped in the damp. The creek kept rushing. The stone kept listening. People stopped writing the mill's name, but the water learned it by heart. Now it stands as a rib cage of masonry, cold blue in moonlight, its gaps filled with wind. Walk close and you smell wet iron, char that never left, old wheat turned to dust. Stand still and you can almost hear the arithmetic again. Belt, wheel, breath, until it falters, until the ledger turns to silence, and the silence to something that watches you back. Let's leave the city behind, venturing deep into forgotten farmland where roads run straight as an arrow, disappearing into the horizon. Here you'll find a rickety iron trestle, a skeleton of rust and decay spanning a murky river. The road beyond has been completely reclaimed by nature. Locals avoid it after sundown, whispering stories of those who cross and never return. They call it the Vanishing Bridge. Dale, a trucker on a detour, tired, frustrated, found the bridge when his GPS died. He just wanted to get home. Halfway across, an unnatural fog rolled in. The engine cut. Every light, every instrument went dark. Everything died. A tall, too-thin silhouette emerged from the mist, moving not like a man, but flowing like smoke. Primal terror seized him. He leapt from the cab, slid down the muddy bank, and plunged into the icy water. He ran, soaked and freezing, until the distant lights of a farmhouse appeared like a desperate prayer. At dawn the bridge stood empty. No truck, no tracks, not even a broken branch. Just gone. Farmers still speak of pale blue and green orbs drifting over the iron, winking out like breath in winter. No wreckage, no bodies, no answers. Only the memory of taillights that fade into a fog that swallows everything. Minneapolis, concrete, steel, and streetlights that cast long dancing shadows. For years reports speak of a figure at the periphery, the Shadow Man, tall, over 7 feet, wide-brim hat, long coat, no face, no hands. A void that swallows light. He doesn't walk or run, he just appears. Maya left a coffee shop at 2 a.m., a route she knew by heart, until her skin prickled. Not alone. She glanced back. Under a flickering lamp, half a block away, a tall, dark figure in a hat. She turned a corner, ran a block, looked again. He was there, as if the distance folded for him. Panic sharpened. She sprinted, keys shaking, into her lobby, door slamming behind. She checked the street, empty, bathed in orange light. Relief. Then she looked up across the street on the opposite roof. There he was, a solid black cutout against the sky, watching, unmoving, patient. Lake Superior. Vast, deep, and terrifyingly powerful. Known to sailors as the graveyard of the Great Lakes, 1,000 wrecks sleep in its cold blue depths. Along its unforgiving cliffs, lighthouses stand as lonely sentinels against the fury. The iconic Split Rock anchors our tale. An early 1900s keeper, a man married to the light, fought a brutal November gale as an ore freighter struggled helplessly offshore. The ship was swallowed by the waves. He blamed himself, consumed by a guilt he couldn't escape. Weeks later, his own small boat, found capsized. They say he never left his post. On storm nights, a second, fainter light, like a handheld lantern, moves in the lantern room. When the wind howls and waves hammer the cliff, people hear a faint voice carried on the gale, calling a warning. Investigators stayed in the keeper's house. At 3 a.m., all their gear died, batteries inexplicably drained. Then a chilling whisper from the corner.
Get out of the water.
A desperate plea, atonement echoing through the storms. His guilt, a heavy chain that forever moors him to the rock, forever whispering to any who will listen, a ghost light reminding us the Great Lake never gives up its dead. Lake Minnetonka, wealth, mansions, summer boats, suburban tranquility. Then calls at 2 to 3 a.m. The Petersons wake to a shrill ring, silence on the line, unknown number, no caller ID. The phone company logs show no calls at all. Night after night, the silence rings them awake. Sleep phrase, nerves grind. One night, not silence, a faint, wet scraping. Fingernails dragged across a wooden floor. They unplugged the phone. Phantom rings haunted them anyway. Calls return, scraping, then a low guttural breathing. On a Tuesday, Mrs. Peterson snaps, "Who is this? What do you want?" The line goes still, then distorted, raspy like a warped tape. It speaks one name, her daughter's, and then, "I see you." She rushes in, the window slightly ajar. Fresh scratches rake the floor below. The scratching on the floor. The whisper in the storm. The shadow on the roof. These tales remind us the world is bigger and stranger than we think. They wake the part of us that still looks over its shoulder in the quiet of the night. Maybe not all doors to the other side are closed. The next time you're alone in the dark, you might not be alone at all. Minnesota keeps its secrets, but sometimes they whisper back. Subscribe to Shivers and Stories. New chills every week. Share your encounters below.